Hello, my name is Christina. I'm with the Bradley Public Library, and I'm very excited today to show you how to haunt a classic painting. And this is kind of a twist on a popular, trendy craft right now, where you may have seen people like to go to thrift stores and find paintings that they take home and collaborate with that artist by adding some other elements at home. And what I have done here is just moved it into the public domain realm and gotten works that we do have permission to use. And so what I have selected today is this painting by Gustave Doré. Here's what it looked like before I added my spooky elements. Here's the painting by Gustave Doré, and it was painted in 1865. It's called Alpine Scene. And there are a lot of resources online for public domain paintings. So if you'd like to do this at home and find one of these paintings, you can just do a Google search for public domain artwork. And there are a couple different resources online. You do not have to pay for any of these, so be suspect if you are paying for public domain imagery. There are free resources online. Save and download that image, and then what I've done here is I've just adhered it with Modge Podge onto a canvas panel. So just one of these canvas panels suitable for acrylic paint. And what I really like about these is they actually just pop right into an inexpensive frame that you could find at a resale shop or at a garage sale. But this size is 5 by 7, so I would just take the glass out of that frame and just pop this panel right in. It's the same kind of thickness of that glass, and then you could put the back on there for the stand, and you're ready to go to display your masterpiece. So that's just a little bit about how you might find the images. And once you do, go ahead and put Modge Podge on the back and Modge Podge on the front, and you line it up. Put it on the back. Line up your artwork with the corners of your canvas panel there. Then you're going to put Modge Podge on the front. I like to use a glove hand there, plastic glove, and then I just smooth all the air bubbles out. I start in the middle and I just go up, and then I go down at the bottom here. So you'll see there's some wrinkles and kind of, areas where it's not perfect. I kind of think that adds to the oldness to it. And the fact that we're going to haunt it anyway makes it fun that it does look a little old. It looks maybe like it's an original painting that you found at the thrift store, but it's a cool collaboration and we actually know who the artist is. So thank you, Gustave Doré, for allowing us to collaborate with you all the way back from 1865 to now. So what I did here, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I did on my example, and then I'm going to walk you through some of these techniques. And you may decide to do exactly what I've done here, or you may decide to add some other fun elements. There are a lot of different things that you can do here. But what I have decided to do was to focus on ghosts and pumpkins. And what I did here was by making the ghosts that are in the background smaller and one ghost in the foreground larger, it does give you that illusion of depth on that 2D surface there. So that is a technique that you can do to incorporate your elements into what's already there. I've done that same thing with the pumpkins too. I've got a large pumpkin in the foreground, and then as the pumpkins recede, they are just getting smaller. Just a little artist trick there to kind of give you that illusion of depth there. And as you see, I've got some of my ghosts peeking around the corner. I've added some fall leaves in here, and I've also come back in and added some little flying bats in the distance. And the same thing, as the bats are going further away, they're just getting tinier, less detail on those bats. So I'm going to show you actually a couple of ways to do these ghosts. One with a paintbrush, and then kind of an unexpected art tool. We're going to be working with a Q-tip, a little cotton swab, to give you kind of a cool effect. So I will show you both of those techniques and show you how to get the pumpkin on there as well. But please be inspired by whichever art piece that you find online to do some other ones. But this one kind of called to me because of the trees. You can kind of stick these little ghosts in there like they're peeking out. Okay, so I'm going to switch back here to the one that's not painted, and we'll go ahead and get started then. So I've gone ahead and just mixed up some of my paint so that I'm not taking too long mixing that paint up. But I am just starting with white right now. I'm not mixing any other colors into it. And I'm going to start with my star of the show. I like to call my main element my star of the show. And that kind of sets the size for everything. So I'm going to add that ghost right over here. And it's kind of just an upside down, well, kind of an arch, I want to say. So I'm going to just start here and just kind of do a little bit of an arch there, like an upside down U. Kind of get the shape. And I'm gonna now do the bottom, and I'm kind of going for like a W with a curved end to it instead of a pointed tip. So kind of up and down, there's kind of a W, and then maybe an extra one right there. There we go. So kind of the quintessential ghost that you would expect to see. Maybe yours is a little bit more unique. Mine's kind of basic there, but that's okay. And then I'm going to just fill this in with some white paint right on top of there. And what you'll find as you are painting on top of this printout that has been glued to your panel here is that it's smoother. The paint does not want to stick too well to it. It doesn't have the roughed up surface that canvas panel has. So to kind of work with this surface, what I'm doing here, what I'm attempting to do anyway, is to put that paint on rather thin. So I'm not trying to give it a huge chunk of paint on there. But you certainly can, because you know, there are no rules in art. So take some inspiration from this, but certainly you can do bigger blocks of paint on there if you want it more chunky, but that's just what I've selected to do for mine. So I'm just filling them all in here with my white paint. There we go. And some of it does have a little bit of a translucence to it. The more that I stroke here with my paintbrush, you're seeing that some of that paint's coming off and it's giving it some translucence. And notice as well, depending on which way I'm, laying down my paint here, it kind of gives a movement to the ghost. So I'm just kind of working with that a little bit. It kind of looks like he's twisting a little bit to the side because of how I am laying down my brush strokes, and they're all going in the same direction. Okay. So I'm going to come back to this ghost. I just want that layer to dry a little bit. So as that ghost is drying, I'm going to go ahead and add some other ghostly friends. You can choose to work with this painting. You see this gentleman, he's kind of way in the back here. Maybe you want to turn him into something else, or maybe you want to keep him there, but I'm going to turn him into a little bit of a ghost here. There's not going to be any humans, just ghosts. So in the background, I'm just going for a very small one. That's going to be my smallest one. There we go, it's just in there. So now I've kind of got my two sizes. I've got my largest size and my smallest size. I want that one I just did in the background to be the furthest away from the viewer. So the other ghost that I'm going to place here, I want it to kind of be a medium size. Let's have one poking out from this tree right here. There we go, just a little bit bigger than that one. He's just kind of floating out from behind that tree. Okay, a little bit of a ghost shape. Let me add a little bit more of a flow to that. Just getting that classic ghost shape there. Okay. There we go, kind of peeking out. And you can certainly add some more. Maybe there's another one over there, but I'll just do a couple just for simplicity here, just for our demonstration. I'm just rinsing out my brush a little bit here. I'm gonna let that layer of white dry. And while I do that, actually, let's go ahead and talk about the other way I want to show you to do ghosts here. So this would be sort of a classic way. Of course, we're using a paintbrush, of course, to paint. Not very unexpected there. But I want to show you a fun way to use Q-tips, cotton swabs here. So I've got a Q-tip here. I know it's out of frame, but all I'm doing is just dipping this Q-tip into my white paint, just on the tip there. Kind of a little bit on the edge too. Just swirling it around so that it gets everything on there, okay? So let's say I wanted to add another ghost, and I'm going to do it with the Q-tip this time, and you will see the difference here. So I'm going to have it medium-sized here so it fits into my composition. And do you see what's happening there? The paint is staying away from the center of that Q-tip, and it's going just around the outside of that cotton swab there. And I'm giving it kind of a firm pressure. But what it is doing that I like for ghosts, it's giving me that translucent center and white around the edges. And so see how, we did the up and down wavy kind of W shape down here. With the Q-tip, you can just start at the top and go straight down, and then that adds that little bump, and then come back to the top and go straight down again. There we've got another one, and it got very translucent. I didn't add any more paint to it. And I'm gonna go grab this one and just pull that one down there. So you can see I've got that bump that I did over here with my paintbrush a little more easily, actually, just with doing straight down and letting that cotton swab do the work for me. The other side of this cotton swab, I've just used some scissors to trim it into a point, just so I've got a little bit more control. And now what I'm gonna do is like a lighter touch, and I'm just gonna come in here with this point and just kind of zhuzh it up a little bit. I'm just dipping a little in my paint